Welcome, this is Kita.
And I am Laurie
and you're listening to Anxiety is a Mother. Hey girl, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How's your week? How's your energy?
My energy is good. My week has been good. It's the beginning of April, so it's been a very busy season with happy April. Spring is here, I think officially.
Happy Q2.
Q2, yes. So yeah, but it's been super busy. We're wrapping up Tori's senior year, and she's had the kid. Prom is like 2 weeks away, so it's been crazy over here. But I'm good. How are you? How's your energy? How's everything been?
My energy is good. I'm trying to get accustomed to like slow pace. I'm usually in like that go, 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 hustle, 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 on to the next. But I'm just trying to like learn to just kind of like it's okay to rest. It's okay to,
Slow
do
down.
other things outside of working. So it's new, but yeah, I'm good. My energy is good.
Good. That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about something that is very, I would say it's somewhat defines my life in a sense, but I wanted to talk about being a single parent, being a single mom.
Okay.
Well, being a single parent, because a guy could be a single father as well. And by single parent, I mean like you hold 100% of the responsibility for the children. And I don't think
Right.
that people talk enough about the traumas that come with that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
Yeah.
like being a single mom, being a single parent is a whole mental disorder in itself. So I
Not a
found these tips. Girl, yes, like nobody's meant to raise kids by themselves. Like
It's
just
very
all
traumatic.
this, it's extremely traumatic. So I
It's
put
traumatic
together,
having a spouse.
huh?
I said it's traumatic with a spouse because now it's two of y'all looking at each other like, what the fuck are we doing?
Well, at least you got somebody
Help.
to look at. Like, let's figure this out together.
That's true.
Because when
Yeah.
you got just one brain has to like think and control and do and plan and prep and take and drive, like
It's a
that is
lot.
a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
So I put together some tips. I'm sorry, not some tips, but some just some areas where it could just be very stressful being a single parent. And one being financial stress. Having to carry the entire burden. Can you imagine doing Tori's prom by yourself?
No, ma'am. Absolutely not. The kid was asking for a custom dress and red bottoms. First of all, I did neither of those. And she comes from a 2-parent household. I just had to bump her down because baby, this ain't sometimes as parents, you gotta be realistic. That's not in my budget. We have other children in a life to provide for. Like we know we're not doing that. And this is prom. This is not your wedding. Like, relax. We're not doing all that. But I can only imagine as single parents being, your kids wanting the moon, stars, and sun all on a platter delivered, and you trying to figure it out. I feel like a lot of that we have to just stand our ground and say no sometimes. And I did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't even imagine by myself. No.
Yeah, it's extremely hard, like especially with me having twins. You want to, I mean, every parent wants to give their kids everything they never had, and then some. Although I don't want to raise spoiled brats, but there's just some things that you want to do for your kids. Like I want to be able to put my kids in different sports and different activities. And sometimes, them bills be billing. And it's not always in the budget to be able to, put them in certain programs, and you may be able to start them in a program, and then 2-3 months down the road, it's like, ooh, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to continue with that. And that's really hard, letting your children down. So being able to find that balance in your finances and raising children by yourself, like, girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Little League be busting heads these days.
Say what?
Dance. I said Little League be busting heads these days. Dance. All that stuff
Everything.
is expensive. Cheer, it's expensive. So yeah.
So what
It's
are some other traumatic things about being a single parent, Lori?
I think one of the ones I would have to say, because I tell you this, I've told my sister this, like I admire the strength it takes to just do it by yourselves because it's a lot. Just and then the guilt and the shame that may come with not
Yes.
staying in the relationship and figuring it out for the kids, because a lot of times, people do stay for the kids, which is not healthy at all, because I feel like it ends up hurting them more. But that's a big one. That's a big one that a lot of single parents face, that guilt and shame. Did you
Yeah.
face that or deal with that?
Yes. You feel guilty that the relationship didn't work out. You feel guilty for choosing to have children with someone and it not being what I mean, nobody wants to have children and be alone, because
Right.
there's already so many odds stacked against kids who are being raised in single parent households, let alone raised in households without a father. So you feel guilty for that. You feel guilty that that you feel like there's certain things that you can't do. Like sometimes there is a little bit of resentment towards your kids. Like, I'm gonna just be all the way honest. Like sometimes there's resentment. Like you picture your life before kids. And although I love my kids, I love being a parent. But some days I'm like, man,
I ain't
like
had any
what
kids.
the hell? Say
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, like I'm sure you often think, if I didn't have these kids, possibilities would be, or how life may have been or ended up at
And you
that
feel
point.
so guilty for those thoughts. Like, what the hell? And what I've realized is that I've had to learn to forgive myself for thinking like that, because I know that that's coming from a place of overwhelm. When you're
Mhm.
overwhelmed and you're stressed out, you're gonna think things. You're gonna be upset. You're gonna feel like, oh my God, like if I didn't have kids, like life would probably be a lot better. But I have to realize, like, okay, let me take some time. Like this, that means it's this time to take a break from the kids, so that I can think clearly, because I wouldn't trade my kids for nothing in this world.
Right,
Like
right. And I
absolutely
think that's
nothing.
important for you to just take a minute to refocus, and refill your cup, pour back into yourself. Because when you're running on E, I feel like that's the times when your mind does wander and have those thoughts, and
Mhm.
and become more of that, or center into your that selfish part of you. And it's like, no, you just need to take care of self. You can't forget to take care of yourself, to refill your own cup, and to, and most importantly, do things for you. Something that bothers me, not really bothers me, but I don't maybe just understand it fully, is when I see parents, like there was a discussion about traveling and vacations, and parents like, I'm not going nowhere without my kids. That is so unhealthy. That is
I'm
so
gonna go
unhealthy.
everywhere without my kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, are you trying to be parent of the year? Like, like what is your goal here with this? Like, no, that is so unhealthy. If you're like, your life consumes every waking moment is with these children, what is wrong with you? Like, you need that time away. You were a person before you had children. You
And you're
can't
still
just
a
forget
person.
about that person. Yeah,
Mhm.
so
But on
yeah.
the flip side of that, let's talk about social isolation when you have kids. I know when I first had the babies, you kind of feel like your friend pool gets a lot smaller because you're just single friends with no kids. I think I was the first one in my friend group that had babies, and it just kind of feel like you the outsider there. Like my friends still partying, and it's just like, girl, deuces. Like you're not really getting that friend time anymore. So you just kind of isolate yourself. You just kind of shut yourself off to the world. At least that's kind of what I did. And it's so funny because you're not a single parent, so it's kind of hard to speak from that isolation standpoint. But do you have any friends that have kids where you feel like they self-isolate?
No, I feel like maybe in the beginning I probably did go through this and experience it. But I mean, my oldest turns 20 next week. So I really don't remember that phase. And it's so crazy saying my oldest child turns 20 in a week and a half. Like that's mind-boggling. That's crazy. And I'm only 21, so I don't understand how this happens.
Girl, how? How did you have your baby when you was 1? Like,
girl, like, God, duh. So, but yeah, no, I don't understand. I don't remember that phase, and how I felt during that time. But I'm sure I was there. But I do know when I became a mom, I feel like it's important for whatever phase you're in that life to surround your people that that kind of relate to or feed into that phase, maybe have been there. And that doesn't mean cut everybody else off, but you know, you hang out with your single friends with no kids. When you have a girls' night or something, that's not your everyday maybe anymore, or especially after you have kids and are married, or even if you're doing it by yourself, that may not be your everyday routine or a part of your life anymore, because that path has changed. And I think that's what's so super hard for people when they go through that change and they're like, oh well, everybody got distant. No, you're on a different path now, so it's time to meet people that's along that same path with
that's
you.
very true.
It's not being different or them being wrong. Like, they're just on a different journey. They're still young, living their life carefree with no dependence. That's not you anymore. So you gotta make this right. You gotta bust it right and keep it moving while they out here in their best life. Like, no.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's difficult to see it from that standpoint when you're in it. You know, a quick story. So I was living in Maryland in a 4-person roommate situation. Like we called it the fun house. Like, literally, we did nothing but have fun. Too much fun. That's why I got twins. Anyway, so when I got pregnant, I had the babies close to the end of the lease. So I think we had about 2 or 3 months left on the lease or whatever. And like, we were all deciding, like, are we going to stay together? Are we going to like go separate ways? Like, are some people going to go together, whatever? So one of the main rules when we first moved into the house was, don't bring no babies in here. Like, nobody brings no babies in here. So I brought the babies in there, and you know, everybody loves my babies, of course, but it was kind of like, nope. Like, nobody wanted to live with kids, and it kind of hurt my feelings at first. But of course, you know, in my mature mind now, like, I get it. But it hurt. It hurt it back then, because it was like, dang, y'all my friends. Like, y'all didn't even go. But it's like, that's not their job. That's not their responsibility. So I agree with you on that. But let's talk about exhaustion. The exhaustion of being the only, doing everything, and then having twins. Like, my kids, like, they just constantly just talking. Like, imagine working all day, and I'm not just gonna speak for myself, because I don't have a 9 to 5 anymore. But when I did, you know, working a job, getting up early, getting the kids off to school, working your job, and then coming home and immediately back into parent mode, you know, preparing the dinners and the this and getting them to activities, like, that is a lot. That's why I say a lot of times you can speak from overwhelm, you know, and feeling like, oh my God, I wish I didn't have kids, or, you know, having envy of other people's lives. Girl, just being exhausted and being a single parent, like, that's a whole nother mental issue.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my brain around it, because I've never been there, and my hat is off to everybody that has. You, just all my family that I know, my friends that I know that have done it by themselves, because it's too much. It's too much. I know, like, my husband is maybe traveling out of town with work and not here on a daily, especially when our kids were younger. First of all, we eating out, because who not cooking? Because that's what he does. By the time I get home from work, he's already cooked dinner. He's picked up the kids if they've had tutoring or dance or whatever, staying after school. He's transporting and doing all that stuff. So by the time I get home, literally, I come in and I can sit down and relax and woosah. Most times he's already fixed my plate. Like, that's what I've been used to. That's a blessing. So to not have that, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I couldn't imagine just coming home doing it. Like I said, when he's been out of town traveling, that's probably the closest I've ever gotten to it. And even at those times, like I'm doing things, I'm planning it out to make it as easy as possible on me, because I've been used to this life of ease that he makes it with not having to do it by myself. But to the women that are not afforded that luxury and just come in and have to constantly go, like I couldn't imagine getting off work and still putting in another 6 hours until everybody's in bed. Because you still have dinner, homework, pickups, bathing them, getting them ready for the next day. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
I went through a period where I was depressed, and I didn't feel like I could be depressed. Like, because it's like, who has time to be depressed? Like, you gotta get up. You gotta get up.
You ain't got, just like I was having a conversation about scheduling a cry. Like, it's been times as moms too, I can relate to that. Like, you don't even have time for that downtime to cry because you got something to do. Like, the kids is at the door, they need a snack, they need attention, they want to go to the park, they want to go outside and ride their bike. Like, can I have 2 seconds to myself? But it's a lot. So as a single parent, it's just it's too much for one person to do. I don't care if it's 1 child or 5. It's too much for one person.
It takes 2 parents to make a baby. Like, no kid should be raised. And granted, sometimes one parent may pass away, or, one parent may live in a different state or different whatever, so there's different scenarios other than a parent just being a deadbeat parent that is not involved, right. But at the end of the day, nobody should be raising children by themselves. That's why they say it takes a village. And, there's other ways for other people to step in. And it's so crazy because now that I have gone through, and I never thought, like, I never, I mean, and nobody thinks they're going to ever be a single parent, but I was so like, because I did see, you know what, now that I think of, I wasn't the first friend that had kids. I had friends that were, who were teen moms, and they end up being single parent. And I just remember thinking that would never be me. Like, never, ever, ever, like, never be me, so ending up in a situation like that where I'm the sole provider and caregiver, like, it's
draining.
It's very draining. I lost my train of thought, but yes, it is very draining. Let's see what else on here. And then being a single parent and having to work through your own past traumas. Like, let's say you were raised by a single parent. Oh, what's that like being raised by a single mom? Let's speak from that.
I everything that we've discussed, I witnessed it in my mom, and me being the oldest of 4, I was, the one helping watch my siblings while she's at work, because my mom always worked 2, maybe even 3 jobs at some time. If her car broke down, she couldn't get it fixed, she walked to work. Like, she made a way. That woman, there was no days off. There was no downtime. I never saw her, breaking down and crying. Like, she was always working and taking care of us, always, constantly. But that also meant, I kind of feel like we didn't really have that time to just make memories as much, or to be at all the school events, or, just those little things, because she had to take care of 4 kids by herself.
Yeah.
So I saw how hard that was, and I knew it wasn't easy. Of course, I saw how hard that was on her during all those hard times. And I also knew, like, that wasn't right, that she had to do it alone. And I never wanted that for my life, because it's a lot. Like, it's too much for one person, even though I don't think, and I know I didn't truly understand it then, but I also knew I didn't want to have to do it alone. Because it's hard. It's too much.
Yeah. Did you have any resentment having to kind of step up and be you are, of course, the big sister, but I hear a lot of times people are like, them wasn't my kids.
Yeah, I do remember having those moments where, like, when it affected me, where I couldn't go somewhere, I couldn't go spend the night at a friend's house because I was watching the kids and my mom was at work or something. In those moments, yeah, I would be upset. But I don't just remember, like, it didn't linger with me to where it, like, affected who I was as a person. Like, you hear those stories where it's people like that it really affected them that wasn't me. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't me.
And then also there are single parents that were, I don't want to say creative, but there are people who had to end relationships because of violence. So I can't even imagine, you know, having a child being abused, having to go to shelters or seek out different type of support. That is just horrible. I think I watched this show and it was just talking about um parents and like them transitioning out of those environments and how a lot of times they go back, like even though it is very violent, but they just don't want to raise, like that's how bad it is. They just don't want to raise the children by themselves, and it's almost like they rather be in this toxic, having the children around this toxic environment and be in this toxic environment versus doing it alone. What do you think
Because
about that?
sometimes I feel like when you're used to a certain situation or a person or a relationship, I think it's super easy for people on the outside to judge. And it's like, when I watch like documentaries about people being in abusive relationships, and you always hear, why didn't she just leave? Or why didn't he just leave? Or whatever. And it's like, you can't say that. It's for some people, it's not that simple. It may not be that easy. You don't know what they depend on that person for. And especially if it's in a situation where they don't have family or friends that care. Because a lot of the times when you're in an abusive relationship, the number one thing that abuser has done is taking you away from everybody. They've secluded you. That's like step one, seclusion. All you depend on is them. So now it's going to be harder for you to. And then when people see you in that situation that do love you, a lot of times people will wash their hands because they're like, well, she don't fool with us no more, da da da. He got her over there and he doing this and that, and I ain't got time for that. And people leave you alone. Now they don't want nothing to do with the situation. So all you depend on is this person. And then how are you going to provide for and take care of your children and get from point A to point B or put a roof over your head if you're dependent on everything from what you put in your body to how you clothe yourself to the roof over your head depends on this person. So it's so easy for people to sit back and judge and say, they should leave or this, that, and the third. But if you're not providing any kind of services and helping this person, how dare you judge? Like you can't do that. But until a person has, I feel like it's going to start here and getting yourself help mentally before you can physically remove yourself from a situation. And sometimes people see the danger in it and they will walk away with nothing before they stay. Some aren't so lucky. So, but yeah, I think it's a very hard and difficult situation. And it's one that I truly never try to judge anyone on, because you just don't know. And especially when kids are involved, that's like, and I hate to use this word, but they see it as I have this extra burden. Like it's not just me. I got to go out here and fend for it. I also have to take care of the kids.
Yeah.
That's another thing a lot of abusive men will do is continue to get a woman pregnant to keep her.
Baby, fool me once. Fool me once. I will not continue to be a single mom. Like, oh, I know I should say, they say never say never.
Right.
Baby.
And and now that we're thinking of this, I just thought about this video I saw recently on social media of this guy. I think he had 7 kids, if I'm not mistaken, 7 kids, 7 baby moms. And he recorded a video just talking about how, he doesn't have a relationship with any of his children. And he never wanted them. And he told the mothers this up front. And he was like, how dare y'all be mad at me and try to call me a bad person because I'm not in their lives and I don't take care of them kids when I never wanted them. And I told the mamas that. They let me knock them down with no protection. That's their fault. They need to check themselves. And you know what? And he said a whole bunch of truth, and it was very horrible. But I agree with him 1,000%. And here's why, because
1,000%.
1,000%, I agree with what he said. Now, with his actions, I don't agree with. Let me be clear. But what he said, him not having a relationship with his children, I don't agree with that. Just to clarify. But what he said is 1,000% sure true, because unless he held anybody down and raped them and made them have a baby, y'all chose that. Women have to be more selective and just mindful of, one, who you laying down with, giving your body to, two, unprotected. And then, and yes, their choice to go through and have this child with a person. Like, what did baby mama number 7 and 6? Like, come on.
No, baby mama 3, 4, and 5. Like, I mean, just really after 2.
I tried to give 3 and 4 a pass, but like, come on, ladies, for real.
Yeah, like, we gotta do better. We have to do better.
We're just choosing to ignore. It's not even a red flag at this point, baby. It was a red brick thrown at your head, busted you in your mouth, and you still ignored it. Like, no, but minus all that, let's just say baby mama number 1. As a woman, you choose to sleep with a person, right? You choose to do it unprotected. Then you get pregnant. You choose to go through and have this baby by this man who's shown you what? Who's providing what? Who's giving you what? And that's not to say that if you went through, dated him, gotten to know him, his family, he proposed, y'all got married, then you had a baby, that is guaranteed to work out, because we all know not all relationships or marriages work out. But at the same time, at least get near that before we have, like, why are we just out here having babies by anybody?
Yeah.
And then mad when you get that, or he's not involved at all, or you baby mama 6, 7, and 8. Like, that's crazy to me. So I
feel like you should automatically expect to be a single parent if you, like, you know, I'm not gonna say that because that's ugly.
No,
I just like, at some point, you just kind of you typically know, at least once you tell the person you're pregnant, if you're gonna be a single parent or not. How they respond, you just kind of know. You know.
I feel like you know when you're dealing with a nothing ass man too. Like, you can sit here and choose to ignore the red flags. I feel like every woman who has a kid with someone that they're no longer with can probably sit, and they're not taking care of their child. And they're not taking care of their child, don't have nothing to do with their child. I bet you she can sit in front of you and tell you the red flags she missed or ignored. I'm not gonna say missed. I'm gonna say,
yeah.
Like, come on, like, it doesn't just happen overnight and when then we're shocked. But sometimes there are those rare cases where a person is the sheep and wolf in sheep's clothing, and then they pull it off and you see a different side. So I know that does happen, but 99.999% of the time, you know, it's a wolf.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, a lot of times I feel like women need to be more mindful and just careful with who they laying up with and choosing to have babies by, because having that baby is a choice.
It definitely is a choice.
I know accidents happen, but it ain't an accident to have unprotected sex. But carrying that for 9 months, having it, that's a choice. Not saying that I'm pushing nobody to do nothing, but I just feel like as women, come on. But anyway, go ahead. I'm off my soapbox. Yeah.
Now, I was gonna say, really, it all boils down to self-love. We have to learn to love ourselves. You know, of course, we're gonna make some mistakes. I don't want to call babies mistakes, but we're gonna knock our head. You know, we're gonna bump our head a little bit. And I'm not even talking about the baby aspect, but just in how you choose the men that you lay with, you date, and you know what you accept. You're gonna bump your head a little bit, you know. But I believe that going on a self-love journey, a healing journey is so important, because the things that I accepted and tolerated in my 20s, baby, you couldn't even get close to me now. And couldn't even look in my direction.
Yeah, and I love that. And one more thing I want to say is just to dispel the rumor, the myths, for any person, woman that is unsure of this fact. A baby will not change a man.
No, no, no.
It has been proven time and time again.
It's gonna reveal the real him even more so.
Baby ain't gonna change him. A baby ain't gonna keep him. A baby ain't gonna make him marry you. A baby ain't
It
gonna
ain't
make
gonna
him
make him
stay
love
with you.
you.
It ain't gonna make him love you more. It's not gonna put you on no pedestal. If it ain't already in him to have that feeling for you, it's not going to come once you have his child.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just skip that. Heartbreak, heartache, skip all it.
I think a lot of times some people just want a title. Like if I can't be his wife, then I just want the title, some type of forever connection.
Now that's the
And
mental
it's
illness.
just
That's a mental illness.
well, girl, before we wrap up, did you have anything else to add to this?
I don't. I think I've said
It is a mental illness. That is a bit. I mean, but hey, we can't just put, like you said, we can't put it all on the men.
no.
We can't, because if you on your third baby daddy, your fourth baby daddy, and you a single parent every single time, like
because they still thinking that baby go get them, and it's not.
You didn't learn from the first two?
With a consolation prize. Oh, that was.
I almost said something you said like on a previous episode.
Wrap it up before I get canceled.
Right, I was like, I'm gonna delete all that. All right, girl, where can we follow you?
I am at Laurie and 317 on Instagram, and my business is at Energies Co. That's INNERGIES.co on Instagram. Keep up with us there. And you can follow Anxiety is a Mother at Anxiety is a Mother on Instagram. And email us if you have any show ideas, topics, want to be a guest, etc. at anxietyisAMF@gmail.com.
And you can book ZZ's at zzicecreampuffs.com. We do weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever you want, we got it. And then also make sure you follow Pretty Rose on Instagram and purchase our merch at prettyrose.com. Deuces.